Benjamin. Oh my goodness. You messed me up. I was just talking in the holding room. This film messed me up. I love my thriller and my suspense films, but this one had my jaw dropped to my crack. I said, "What is going on?" I was like, "Wait, no, that oh no." I was a hot buttered mess. But what I really want to talk to you about is the music, because the music was like its own little character
Uh-huh.
within itself. And there was a lot of jazz. And what I loved about you using the jazz music when it was used is that there's an angst and a sexiness and a kind of relaxed chillness that goes along with the jazz music. And all of that encompasses what's happening in this film, as well as the sections of New York that it was all taking place in. So I just want to talk to you about why you made the choices of music that you did, and particularly the jazz pieces.
Well, I mean, thank you for saying all of those lovely things, by the way. I'm really glad I got to mess with your head. That makes me very proud.
Oh my God, you totally did.
Good. I mean, I guess, do you mean you want to talk about the sort of source tracks, the needle drops, or you're talking about the score more, the needle drops?
Both, actually.
Okay,
The
both. All
needle
right.
drops and the score.
Well, I mean, thank you for saying all of those lovely things, by the way. I'm really glad I got to mess with your head. That makes me very proud.
Oh my God, you totally did.
Good. I mean, I guess, do you mean you want to talk about the sort of source tracks, the needle drops, or you're talking about the score more, the needle drops?
Both, actually.
Okay, both. All
The
right.
needle drops and the score.
Okay. Well, I guess in terms of the score, I was really fortunate enough to work with Clint Mansell, who I think really I remember watching Pi or Requiem and being blown away with how music and film could work together. He completely changed the rules in my mind. So he was the first and only person I went to, and he said yes, which was extraordinary. And he kind of understood Sharper, and he understands sort of how lonely and broken these characters were, and how he could kind of imbue a kind of feeling and a tone to get across, get across the story. Specifically, I love how he sort of plays around with some of those sort of synth sounds, and he sort of brings in a piano, and occasionally gets out the guitar, and it's like he's just a lovely human being, Clint, and his music is so, I find, really existential. It really sort of digs deep into the kind of core. But what was really clear with a film that played around with perspective in the movie, I needed the score to be coherent throughout. So in many ways, it started with Sandra in a way, and the score and the themes throughout that film were kind of anchored around Sandra. Um, there's that beautiful piece of music he creates at the end of Act One. We don't hear score until like 17, 18 minutes in, and that's like a deliberate choice. And I remember first hearing that piece of music from him, and I remember crying. I remember sitting in the cutting room and crying because I felt moved by that character and what had happened to him at that moment, how devastating this sort of huge dramatic moment that happened in the film, and I think he just nailed it. So that's Clint. In terms of the needle drops, I remember talking. So Simon Astor was the music supervisor on the film, and I loved his work from Big Little Lies, from the Come On, the A24 film, and I was really we spoke a lot about this film feeling timeless, and how it can't just all be modern tracks, and what was the soundscape of sort of New York in this sort of neo-noir kind of thrillery world, and yeah, could we lean into the sort of jazzy sounds of New York? So we kick things off with Irma, in that lovely sort of sexy sort of jazzy sounds that come into the bookshop, and we find Tom. He's hidden away. He's hiding in the not real. He's literally in the world of fiction. And then it's a classic boy meets girl, and then in walks Sandra, and and it's sort of just that soundscape just fitted for that kind of opening chapter. And then we go, is this good? Shall I just keep talking about the music, or? or I
I'm
can.
actually out of time. I was gonna ask you another question, but I don't have time to ask you another
Oh
question.
no, you can. You can.
But honestly, this is what I really, after watching it, this is what I really wanted to know. So
Yeah.
I'm thanking you so much for giving me such a thorough answer to that. And we'll talk again, but I just got to tell you, you messed me up. I was all about it, and I cannot wait for people to see Sharper. It is.
By the way, you can ask one more question. I mean, I think, look, you just set me. I would talk about musicals. I mean, we've got like Irma, we've got Curtis, we've got Talking Heads, we've got Don Henley, and then we finished with Nina Simone. I mean, what a great soundtrack. I mean, I was listening to this morning, and I was like, I would listen to that soundtrack. But anyway, you've
And
got
so
one more
would
question,
I.
by the way. You're okay. They've said we've got time.
They said, I said, oh, I can have another. Okay. So let me ask you this other question too about why you set up the film the way you did, because you set it up like it was going to be like this romantic journey, and then it wasn't.
Well, I think okay. Look, the deception is a defining feature of this movie. So why not deceive the audience with the opening of the movie? Why not, why not start the movie believing that you're in a sort of Richard Curtis romantic comedy? You know, where we're in a sort of traditional boy meets girl, girl meets boy, they fall in love. And so I just think the sort of that excites me as a filmmaker, to sort of take the audience down one way and then twist and reverse them in a completely different direction.
It excited me too. Listen, I was all about it. I really was. I can't say enough about it.
Oh,
Benjamin, thank you so much for giving me some time and a little extra time to boot to ask that second question. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for people to see this film. It's really quite special.
thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that.
Oh, of course. You're welcome. Talk to you next time.
Take care. Bye bye.
It excited me too. I was all about it. I really was. I can't say enough about it. Benjamin, thank you so much for giving me some time and a little extra time to boot to ask that second question. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait for people to see this film. It's really quite special.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that.
Oh, of course. You're welcome. Talk to you next time.
Take care. Bye bye.